Coming up tonight, severe weather hits New Providence overnight. During serious inclement weather, a man loses his life at Flamingo Gardens. This is our News Weekend edition. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan Shepard. Well, severe weather impacting the island of New Providence last evening, causing severe flooding in some communities. Our meteorologist, Greg Thompson, joins us in studio to give us a little more insight about what actually happened overnight.
Yeah, thanks, Megan, and good evening, everybody. Of course, very strong thunderstorms affecting the islands last night, especially New Providence. We had some severe thunderstorm warnings issued all night last night. All because of a line of thunderstorms that really set up across New Providence and what we call training. Those thunderstorms tended to form right in one spot and just beyond each other. So we had significant rain out of that, and that caused all the rainfall that we had. We have some videos that show significant rainfall at the airport. We had about 12 inches of rainfall reported at the airport officially. And in the Coral Harbor area, we also had some rainfall up to about 8 inches reported. Other areas of New Providence seeing some significant rainfall, but most of it was actually confined to the west and northern shorelines. We also had a very significant waterspout / tornado, because once that waterspout moved inland, it became officially a tornado, affected portions of the extreme northwestern portions of New Providence. I think it's more or less near the Caves Point. Some damages done to a restaurant on the outskirts of the town. Tables turned, chairs tossed around. And we will continue to watch that system as that system continues to affect us. But the rainfall was the problem, and as I mentioned, caused very significant flooding in some areas of New Providence. We're hoping that most of that activity is waned for us, but the central and southeast Bahamas also getting in on some of that action. We have some dry air in training across the area, so we will see some bit of a relief or some reprieve from that rainfall event across New Providence. Current conditions outside our studios right now, though. Temperatures near the 80-degree mark, few clouds. The winds are out of the southeast at 8 miles per hour. Feels like 84 degrees on the outside. Taking a look at a new, let's call it a new frame. Future radar showing most of the activity really across the central and southeast Bahamas. This is from 12 p.m. this afternoon, and that will go through tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Showers and thunderstorms will continue to affect the portions of the central and southeast Bahamas. And we do, as I mentioned, have some dry air in training across the New Providence and the northwest Bahamas. So we're looking at a lesser chance for some showers, but showers will still be in the forecast as we still have that large plume of moisture that's moving out of the south, all attached to a low pressure system that's moving towards the north across the southeastern United States. Lots of showers and thunderstorms will continue to affect the central and southeast Bahamas tonight. But as that system continues to pull, we expect some of this moisture to move back across the northwest Bahamas. So we are still looking for some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Strong thunderstorms expected, significant rainfall with heavy rainfall events expected. So do remain vigilant across most of the island chain. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots. Your seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. High tide will be at 7:22 tonight for the southeast Bahamas. A caution flag posted for you guys down there. Southeasterly flow, 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 6 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through next Saturday. That's a look at our weather. Back to you, Megan.
Thanks, Greg. And like he said, more rain is expected, so be sure to exercise caution while driving. Well, daybreak revealing the extent of the floodwaters. The Our News team canvassed several areas, capturing the difficulties facing motorists as they emerged on an unusually wet Saturday morning. Our Jerome Sawyer has this recap.
Carmichael and Gladstone Roads, the airport access road, most of Coral Harbor and nearby streets along with the Frank Watson Boulevard flooded Saturday morning. Daybreak revealing western and southern New Providence underwater from overnight torrential rain. As many as 3 motorists caught on the Frank Watson Boulevard had to hunker down in vehicles in what was described as a graveyard of cars stalled in the floods. Bus driver Lyndon Ramming was on his way to pick up at the brewery when he got stuck.
I made it through and I tried to go light for Kiev that was even worse, you know. So I said, let me turn back around. Since I made it this way, I decided to come back this way, you know. But I was here from like from 11, almost 12 o'clock until now. When I came to the water, water came up and the bus just stalled out.
Oh wow.
One driver told our news the water in his car rose above his knees and he couldn't see the ground. By the time morning commuters took to the airport and Windsor Field roads, they met similar fates, casualties of the high flood waters. As morning traffic flowed, the parade of stalled cars continued growing. And motors weren't alone. A group of 7 GGYA students were also late for their morning rendezvous point, leaving expedition panel member Vivian Missick very concerned.
We usually meet them up there, so it's a checkpoint. But hopefully they'll figure it out. Or maybe the water will go down a bit in a while and we can walk up or get up there. Maybe we'll just have to walk up there.
In the Pinecrest community, an aerial view showing renewed flooding amidst the construction sites for a second time this week. An unusually early summer storm catching most of the southwestern communities by surprise. Reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Thanks to our news team members, senior correspondent Candino Knowles and cameraman Taran Knowles for contributing to this report and capturing these images for us this morning. Now, switching gears, police say they are following significant leads in the Friday the 13th shooting death of a man in the Flamingo Gardens area. Now, police need your help in finding the suspect who pulled the trigger. An eerie scene on Sierra Leone Avenue as heavy downpours let up, allowing police to secure and remove the body from the scene Friday night around 10 p.m. Superintendent Otley Peters say the victim, who appeared to be in his early 30s, was pronounced dead on the scene.
Our initial investigations indicate that the male was conversating with some person in a vehicle when another vehicle approached. A passenger exited the vehicle armed with a firearm and discharged the weapon at this male.
Police say the victim ran a short distance before he collapsed. The victim is a resident of the Flamingo Gardens area.
We're appealing to members of this community who may be aware or have any information in relation to this incident to contact the Criminal Investigations Department and have a conversation with Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson or anyone of his team, in particular ASP Evans, who is the lead investigator in this matter. But it all will continue to depend on the information that we will get from members of the public and if we get anything from CCTV footage.
Peter says someone knew the shooter had a gun. He adds reporting that gun to police could have saved a life.
You see something, say something. Next time it may be somebody's relative or your relative or even yourself.
Carnival Cruise Lines extending their commitment and investment on the island of Grand Bahama through another major investment. President and CEO of Carnival Corporation, Arnold Donald, says they signed an agreement to build 2 new dry docks at the Grand Bahama shipyard.
These will be amongst the largest floating dry docks ever built and help ensure a brighter future for Grand Bahama, creating great jobs for Bahamians. Now, Carnival Cruise Line, and indeed our corporation's history, is intrinsically tied to the Bahamas.
According to President of Carnival, Christine Duffy, the new dry docks will be mutually beneficial.
We are working with the Bahamas shipyard to finalize the agreement, but these will be the largest dry docks facility that I think has ever been built. And we certainly, given the fact that ships are getting larger, we need these facilities because in the meantime, we've been taking our ships to Europe for their dry docks, which is not great for us and not great for Grand Bahama.
Still to come on our news, a survivor of the HMBS Flamingo bombing relives the tragedy. And Russia continues to bombard Ukraine. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Flamingo.
You're watching our news. Welcome back. Royal Bahamas Defense Force Commodore Dr. Raymond King says in an ideal world, he would have more men and women on the Defense Force than it currently has today, and not just for times of crisis, but all year round. He says Force personnel have done their research and have determined that they would need to double the current number.
We basically need the force strength to double from 1,500 to 3,000. And it's really to ensure that we're able to duplicate what we have here at Her Majesty's Bahamian Ship Coral Harbor. As we decentralize in the southeast, in the southern Bahamas, central Bahamas, and the northern Bahamas, we need to be able to have certain skill sets, capabilities in order to respond. And so we can move from being Coral Harbor or New Providence centric. We can take our operations to those areas where we can be even more effective. So we need numbers to man and have oversight and manage the technologies that we're now taking on.
King also explains that several agreements signed between the United States and the Bahamas have assisted with manpower during hard times, such as the passage of hurricanes and repatriation exercises. But more is always better.
The signing of those agreements moves a lot of the red tape in terms of getting response from our regional and international partners at an even faster pace. So all of the bureaucracy would have already been solved. I can assure you that we are better prepared, trained, and equipped moving forward from the experiences we experienced with Hurricane Dorian.
More than 4 decades after 4 officers were killed during an attack on HMBS Flamingo, a surviving shipmate is reliving that tragic day. Jasmine Brown has his harrowing story in this report.
Retired Captain Whitfield Neely was one of 15 survivors of the ill-fated HMBS Flamingo. While the past week marked 42 years since the tragic incident, Neely says it is still etched in his memory.
It was a really, really shocking moment.
Marine Seamen David Tucker, Edward Williams, Austin Smith, and able seaman Fenric Stirrup were killed on May 10, 1980, after the 2 Cuban MiG fighter jets bombed HMBS Flamingo in waters off the Ragged Island chain. The attack came after officers apprehended 2 Cuban fishing vessels for illegal fishing in Bahamian waters.
While arresting the vessels, we had a lot of air coverage from Cuba come out. Helicopters and some very fast MiG-25 torpedo planes, and they kept flying around. But after we made the arrest, tied up the 2 fishing boats and were starting to make our way back up to Ragged Island, one of the aircraft broke away and flew over the bow of the Flamingo from the starboard side to the port side and fired a salvo of machine gun fire in the front of the Flamingo. Now that was very uncharacteristic because we had never seen that.
Neely says it went from calm to chaotic just 40 minutes later.
We heard these sirens because it was a very calm day, very, very calm day. One of the calmest I've ever seen underwater. And we heard these sirens coming, and I said to myself, because I grew up on East Street, I said, boy, you know, fire engine's supposed to be out here. So I started looking around. Then I heard the explosions. So the airplanes fired off some air-to-surface missiles and hit the Flamingo on its starboard side. They put 3 torpedoes in the Flamingo, and then she just started to shudder. And the moment was so surreal until it became very silent and still. Because everyone just looked at each other. I was on the Cuban fishing boat during the attack, and everyone just looked at each other and said, boy, this is gonna be bad.
The military veteran says everything came to life only seconds later.
The planes came back, started shooting their machine guns at the boat. shooting the machine guns at the persons in the water. And everything was chaotic and all crazy, and people were screaming and jumping in the water off the Flamingo. The persons on the Cuban fishing boat where I was, everybody was paralyzed with fear.
Neely says he had the task of helping to rescue Marines as they were being fired on in the water. He says when the barrage of bullets ended, they realized 4 of their fellow Marines were missing.
We all got together, said a prayer. We saluted the Flamingo, like I said. She went under, she submerged. It was around 5:55, I can't forget it. The sun was going down, the water was calm. Only thing wrong with the photo with the sunset was the Flamingo was sinking.
Neely went on to serve another 40-plus years on the force. He retired from the RBDF in 2021. Also last year, Neely was bestowed with the honor as a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Vadim Shishimurin, a 21-year-old Russian soldier, was brought before a Kiev court yesterday in the first war crimes trial of the conflict, Ukraine's prosecutor general said. Now in custody, he is accused of killing an unarmed 62-year-old civilian in February during the first week of the invasion. Shishimurin appeared at a preliminary hearing, and he faces life in prison if convicted. Ukraine says it has identified thousands of potential war crimes committed by Russia. Russia has denied targeting civilians and made no comment on the trial. Prosecutors say Shishimurin was driving in a stolen vehicle with other soldiers in the northeastern Sumy region when they encountered a 62-year-old cyclist using a phone. He was ordered to shoot the civilian to stop them from telling Ukrainian defenders about their location, according to prosecutors. The situation remains concerning in Ukraine. And just after the break, Beijing goes to India. The details are coming up when our news weekend edition returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Flamingo.
Life for Key Foundations is looking to help young students leap past pandemic learning loss with its new pilot program, Learning Enrichment to Accelerate Progress. Life for Key Foundation's Executive Director, Nicola Virgil-Roll, says the program focuses on numeracy, literacy, and social-emotional skills. The program's aim is to produce well-rounded, confident learners who are inquisitive, passionate, and perseverant despite the setbacks they would have faced because of the pandemic.
We've been thinking as a foundation about how to interact and intervene with students through enrichment activities a bit earlier. And so out of that came a program called LEAP, Learning Enrichment to Accelerate Progress. And it was born really to address some of the issues around learning loss and encouraging learning recovery as a result of COVID-19 and the school disruptions as a result of COVID-19.
41 Uriah McPhee Primary School students from grades 1 through 4 are taking part in the 10-week program, which began April 30th and will end July 2nd. Virgil-Roll says the partnership between Life for Key Foundations, Life for Key International School, and Uriah McPhee Primary School will provide the necessary support to help kids get back on track academically. And if the program is successful, more children may benefit.
The majority of the sessions are really about high-impact tutoring. So it's assessing where they are, assessing their direct needs. Because the ratio, it's 5.
A 27-year-old activist is taking her calling far beyond Bahamian borders. Beijing Rogers recently addressed youth at a conference in India, encouraging them to follow their passion. Rogers has been going on mission trips since the age of 4 fueling her passion for becoming an international youth speaker.
I thought I was going to be my first speaking engagement would be in the U.S., but it was in India, and I had the opportunity to speak at a youth conference on the stage with other young world leaders in India. I had the opportunity to speak at a university in front of hundreds of young people.
Rogers has a goal to create 12 orphanages globally, a big vision she says came from God.
The dream of building 12 orphanages around the world came about through God. It was the next vision that God has given me to help make the world a better place. And it is specifically for the abandoned and the orphan teens around the world because they need more care, they need more love, they need more attention, and I just have a heart for that age group.
The Willpower Humanitarian Organization is set to host a conference here in the Bahamas from June 6th through the 11th.
I always say the most two important days of your life is one, the day you were born, and the day you find out why. And so when you seek the kingdom of God, when you seek Him first, and that's the key, first, then all good things will be added upon.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Flamingo.
Welcome back. Police are also investigating a homicide which took place early this morning in the Carmichael Road area. Now please visit the Our News Bahamas Facebook page for more details. Thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend Edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a wonderful weekend.